Hi Saber fans, Scarecrow here with my latest build. Today we have the Graflex Saber that was seen in The Force Awakens. This is a version that was seen in the box at Maz Kanata, so it's kind of become my favorite of the sequel trilogy. I've done these before, but never quite like this. This one's actually using a different board, chassis, blade lighting. That's because I went into this with a very specific set of goals in mind. I wanted to create something for long troops or conventions, something where you'd be out for a long time and you wanted something that could run all day and keep up with it without having to make a bunch of trade-offs. So I wanted it to be visually accurate, easy to use, I mean really easy to use as much as you can with these custom sabers. Full reveal chassis, but I wanted it to have a drop-in battery because I wanted to use a Neopixel blade. I wanted to take advantage of some of the newer tech. Like I said, no trade-offs here. So on this one I started with a Roman's Props Graflex flash gun. For the grips I went with Wannawangas. Roy does the best grips, best parts, great guy. Comes from the Netherlands, but it still only takes about 7 to 10 days to get here normally. I also used his Kobold D-ring, the bottom cover, along with the clamp cover. Adds a much more authentic look to it. It's got the knurling removed from the brass eye. It's got short pins because of the blade holder. I'll get into that in a minute. I did replace the bunny ears as well on this one. It's got the TGS smooth bunny ears, and that's because I did use the KR Deluxe 2-piece blade socket. It's very accurate. I like it. It's also open on the bottom, which allowed me to do some things I needed to on the inside. Works really well. And like I said, it's got the 1-inch bore in it, which is actually screen accurate. And these bunny ears are the smooth ones from the Graflex shop. So they don't have any nubs on them, which makes the blade easier to get in and out, and also the blade plug. And while I got you right here, I'll show you the blade plug. That is a Darkside Engineering razor blade plug. This is one of the heat-treated stainless steel, and it's got shine through on it. I ended up putting Neopixels inside of it. I'll get to that in a minute. But on the exterior, very, very accurate. Didn't make any compromises with the sound venting. I went through the rivets. They're all drilled out, and there's also a slot underneath the Kobold for sound venting. Really, the only place that you lose accuracy is around the emitter, and that's because of the blade plug. Normally, the Graflex socket is just a smooth concave piece of plastic that allows a light bulb to be put in there, and this one obviously is not that, but it looks so much better. And I couldn't get the tabs, the little contacts that normally go in here and here. So like I said, little bits, but nothing drastic, So let's go ahead and show you what I did on the inside of this. Oh, excuse me, this is a Slothfurnace clamp card as well. He's pretty much renowned as the best for clamp cards. So like that. And inside, I decided to go with the Martin Beyer Graflex chassis, and I did that because he has an 18650 version available that allows for drop-in batteries, and that is one of the goals I was going for, is drop-in batteries. But this is a nylon and brass chassis. It doesn't have a Metal Masters version available for this, so what I did was add as much brass as I could. Some brass door. These are the solid brass cast fins from Shapeways, along with the brass add-ons. The crystal holders are both brass. And then there's also a lot of brass rods and tubing and copper tubing and aluminum tubing, and there's a lot of work done on this. But inside the crystal chamber, I have an Angel Aura quartz crystal. It's Brazilian quartz, and I hand faceted that. It's got a little bit of a rainbow sheen. It's hard to pick up because I don't have any direct light hitting it, but it worked out nicely. And like you said, drop-in batteries right here. It's a beautiful chassis. I've been wanting to put this in something for a long time. I've been working on this for a long time, and really happy with the setup. You can see some of the details in there. Lots of paint work, lots of little details, trying to add to it. And I didn't weather this chassis, but I didn't want it to look new. I wanted it to look like it had been sitting in a box for 30 years, just like in the movie, which this is kind of what you would expect. Dull, not bright, not shiny, etc. But we can go ahead and move on to the electronics, which for this one I went with the NEC i3 or the Igniter 3 board. It's the best option for this chassis because it does have Neopixel support. It's got tons of features and color changes and fonts and dual phase and things that I'm still tapping into the full potential of that board, trust me. But it is amazing. The motion detection on it is excellent right out of the box. I think I had to drop it a couple of notches. Nothing major on that. Very few adjustments had to be made in the motion, but everything on this board is highly programmable, so there's a lot to go through to try to get everything right. But I did make a couple of modifications to the chassis. I replaced the on-off switch with a heavy-duty C&K just because this has heavy currents going through it. I didn't think it needed a recharge port because it's safer to recharge these in the wall. So instead I put in a 5mm purple LED to act as an accent. And I also went with a 3mm flat top red LED underneath this stainless steel mesh here because the board's red and thought it would look cool, and it actually creates kind of a C3PO effect when it's lit up. You can see some of the wiring running through there. But really, just an amazing chassis. So glad to be using this system. Alright, let's show you what it looks like when it's lit up. Oops, it was in standby.
The Force Awakens, Graflex.
Alright, it's a loud saber too, especially with the can on. That sound venting works really well. And I had to go with a Neopixel for the crystal chamber instead of the standard RGB. And I ended up using, where are they? These little guys right here from Adafruit. They're the little unmounted 3535s, and I modified it a little bit so it could sit flat because I was worried that it wasn't going to be bright enough, and that was stupid because it's as bright as any 3 or 5mm I've ever used. So there's definitely no complaints there. That's dual phase. That's one of the features of the Igniter 3 board, is changing colors in one font with a twist. And I like the way that's a slow draw and it carries you over to the green. Then back to the blue. Like you said, I also used the TGS Neopixel connector system. Here. Not entirely sure anybody can hear me over that. I used the TGS Neopixel connector system on the blade plug, and on the chassis itself. And I mounted it low. That's one of the bonuses of the KR, was it's open on the bottom, so I can mount the connector really low to allow for the shine through on both the blade plug and the blade. And actually, I can go ahead and show the blade. Show you this blade plug real quick too. See if I can get a better up close shot of it. And this does come out easily. Just normally have to get the bunny ear straight and falls out. Lots of weight on it. There we go. It's got the TCSS connectors there. Just drops right in. It's got the size. Everything's perfect. Spring. Well, this isn't spring loaded, but it feels springy because of the pogo pins. All right. And for the blade, I ended up using an enhanced blue blade, not a day blade. This one acts kind of like the photon blade, but it works with all colors and it only does it slightly. It's not quite as dramatic. And this was a Space Windy recommendation, so thank you very much. And I thought since this is a blue saber, this would look good, especially at a con or something like that. It's kind of hard to pick up. I've got a lot of sunlight in the room, so it's going to wash out. But that is simple drop in. Then make sure everything's connected, because these pogo pins are on springs, so you want to make sure that you have your blade retention screw tightened down pretty good, because otherwise it will jump because they're spring loaded. But as long as you have it in, you're fine. And I use the Adafruit skinny strips on this one. It's got the poly P wrap, and then that goes into the foam, and then the foam goes into a diffuser tube, and then the blade, and I sanded the blade, and then I came back and polished it with 2500 grits. Insane. But I really didn't come up with any corn cobbing. Everything I can see actually is because I'm looking for it, I think. You know, vertical shadowing, yeah, I mean, I guess it's there. It'll never pick up on camera, but still, right, it's a little bit. But there's no bad corn cobbing or anything like that. It's got the isolated blaster blocks. Put it in green here. And it's a nice even blade. And it looks really good in purple too.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
And I have two sound fonts on here.
Him, and now he calls to you.
Okay. And I have two sound fonts on here from The Force Awakens. I have Shamim's and I have Lord Blaco's sound font. I just wanted to show that, I mean, reds come through really nice. I mean, all the colors come through. Blue or purple has kind of an odd effect. Let me pull that up. I like the purple on this a lot. I mean a lot. This is probably one of the best looking purples I've seen. The only thing I've noticed, see if it shows it. No, of course not. Yeah, a little bit. The blade tip still wants to come through as blue, but it doesn't bother me. The blade color is awesome. And also you get kind of a blue hue and purple core. It's very unique. I like it a lot. So this is definitely something I'll be using again. I really do like the Neopixel technology. I'm going to probably end up waiting for somebody like Vader's Vault to go ahead and release theirs, just to make my life a little bit easier, because I didn't make blades before. So it takes up a lot of time to get them right. But like I said, the connectors and things like that, it's no harder to wire. It's actually easier. You don't have to pull your voltages off your LEDs, which actually has some advantages. The i3, fallen in love with that. I will definitely be using that. It's a great board if you need a single cell option. You know, I like the crystal focus, but I think that everything has its place. And I think the crystal focus is really good for, you know, if you can fit a dual cell battery in there. That if you're running a single color saber, I mean, it's great because you're using a current regulator. It runs them efficiently. It runs them for a long time. But if you're looking for something that's best in single cell native, you really need to take a look at the i3. Like I said, it's highly programmable. There's so much you can do with it. I haven't really even tapped all the things you can get into on this. I mean, it's got on the fly color editing and motion editing without hooking up to anything. There's basically no need for a computer connection on those, which is really nice. And I actually do have this set up in a kind of conservative power mode because, like I said, I wanted this for trooping, something like that. So I wasn't trying to get the brightest blade humanly possible and max it out and drain the battery in 5 minutes. I was trying to get something that looks good and will run a while. So all in all, I'm thrilled with it. I mean, I really am. Like I said, the Martin Beyer chassis is highly detailed. There's so much to it. There's so much I can't show because my camera just won't get in there. But like I said, the on and off switch, that makes me giddy. I don't like kill keys very much, and the on and off switch just does it for me. So the fact that Like I said, you pull 2 rods, one from here, one from here. They're not even hard. You can do it with a toothpick. I mean, it's not like they're stuck in there or anything. And then you just swap the batteries out. I also modified the battery connectors on this, the contacts, so they work a little bit better for, you know, regular 18650s with a button top, instead of having to try and find some high drain flat tops, which are just difficult because they're unprotected and you can never use unprotected cells with these boards. So, like I said, all in all, I'm really thrilled with the way it came out, and I appreciate you guys looking. Talk to you soon.